You've probably come across at least a few of these dog myths before. Maybe you've even believed some of them without ever questioning it. Like the idea that 1 human year equals 7 dog years. Seriously, where did that even come from? Or the claim that dogs can only see in black and white, like they're stuck in some old television era. And then there's the one everyone loves to repeat. When your dog licks you, it means they're giving you a kiss. Sounds sweet, right? But the truth behind that one is a lot more layered than people think. In this video, we're going to clear up some of the most common misunderstandings about dogs and replace them with what's actually going on. Because once you start seeing these behaviors for what they really are, you'll realize your dog has been communicating with you in ways you may have completely missed. If you enjoy learning about how dogs think and behave, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you've ever heard a dog myth that sounds questionable, drop it in the comments. We might break it down next. All right, let's get into it. The first myth is one you've probably heard countless times. Dogs eat grass because they're sick. The usual explanation is that they're trying to make themselves throw up. And while that can happen occasionally, it's not nearly as common as people assume. In fact, most dogs that eat grass don't show any signs of illness before or after. So what's really going on? In many cases, it's something much simpler. Dogs might eat grass out of boredom, curiosity, or even mild stress. Just like humans have small habits when they're restless, dogs can develop their own version of that behavior. Grass becomes something to interact with, not necessarily a remedy for a bad stomach. That said, it's not something to completely ignore. Grass can sometimes contain chemicals or parasites depending on where your dog is eating it. So while the behavior itself isn't automatically a red flag, excessive or obsessive grass eating could be worth paying attention to. But most of the time, it's just another harmless quirk, not a sign that something is wrong. Next is one of the most widely accepted myths out there. The idea that 1 dog year equals 7 human years. It's simple, easy to remember, and completely inaccurate. Dogs don't age at a steady, linear rate like that. Their early development happens incredibly fast. In their first year, they go from being completely dependent to fully developed young adults, which is much closer to around 15 human years. After that, the aging process slows down, and each additional year doesn't carry the same weight. It gets even more complex when you factor in size and breed. Smaller dogs tend to live longer and age more slowly, while larger dogs often age faster and have shorter lifespans. So applying a single formula to every dog just doesn't reflect reality. Instead of relying on a fixed ratio, it makes more sense to understand that each dog follows its own timeline. Now, let's talk about another belief that sounds reasonable on the surface. A tired dog is a happy dog. It makes sense, right? If your dog is exhausted after a long walk or intense play session, it must mean they're satisfied. But that idea can be misleading. Physical exercise is important, but pushing your dog too far doesn't automatically lead to happiness. Think about it this way. If you were forced to do intense physical activity every single day without balance, you wouldn't feel fulfilled. You'd feel drained. Dogs need more than just physical movement. They also need mental engagement. Activities that challenge them, like problem solving, learning commands, or interactive play, are just as important as running and walking. If you only focus on tiring your dog out physically, you're ignoring half of what keeps them truly content. A fulfilled dog isn't just worn out, they're mentally and physically balanced. Another common misconception is that dogs can't see colors at all, that their world is just black and white. That's not true. Dogs can see color, just not in the same range as humans. Their vision is more limited, especially when it comes to distinguishing reds and greens. But they can see blues and yellows quite clearly. So while their world might look different from ours, it's far from colorless. More importantly, dogs don't rely on vision the same way we do. Movement, contrast, and especially smell play a much bigger role in how they understand their surroundings. Their sense of smell is incredibly powerful, far beyond anything we can imagine. So even if their color perception is reduced, their overall experience of the world is still rich and detailed, just in a completely different way. Then there's the classic guilty look. You walk into a room, see something destroyed, and your dog immediately lowers their head, avoids eye contact, and looks like they know they've done something wrong. It's easy to interpret that as guilt, but what you're actually seeing is a response to your behavior, not an admission of wrongdoing. Dogs are extremely sensitive to human emotions. The moment you react, your tone changes, your posture shifts, they pick up on it instantly. That guilty expression is really a form of submission. Your dog is trying to calm the situation and avoid conflict, not reflecting on past actions or feeling moral regret. They're responding to the present moment, not judging their own behavior the way humans do. And finally, let's talk about the one that almost everyone gets wrong. When dogs lick you. Most people think it's just a kiss, a simple way for your dog to show affection. And while affection can be part of it, that's only a small piece of the picture. Licking is actually a multi-purpose behavior. It's how dogs bond, explore, and gather information all at the same time. When your dog licks your skin, they're not just being affectionate, they're also processing your scent, your taste, and subtle chemical signals your body releases. In a way, they're learning about you in that moment. There's also a biological side to it. Licking can trigger the release of calming chemicals in a dog's brain, which helps reduce stress. So sometimes your dog isn't licking you just because they feel good, it's because they're trying to feel better. It's a self-soothing behavior as much as it is a social one. But there's something else most people don't think about. Dog saliva can carry certain bacteria. In most everyday situations, it's harmless, but if it comes into contact with open wounds or sensitive areas, it can pose a risk, especially for people with weaker immune systems. So while an occasional lick isn't a problem, it's important to be mindful of boundaries and hygiene. In some cases, excessive licking can even signal stress or anxiety. And in rare situations, if a dog becomes unusually focused on licking a specific spot on your body, it might be worth paying attention. Dogs are incredibly perceptive, and sometimes they pick up on things we don't immediately notice. So no, it's not just a kiss. It's communication, instinct, and biology all combined into one behavior. Now that you've seen the truth behind some of these common myths, you probably realize something important. Dogs aren't random. They're not mysterious in the way people often assume. They're constantly responding, observing, and communicating in ways that make perfect sense once you understand the patterns. And once you start to see those patterns, your entire perspective shifts. You stop relying on old sayings and you start paying attention to what your dog is actually telling you. In the next video, we're going to dive into something even more fascinating: how dogs read human behavior so accurately and whether they can actually sense when something feels off. It might sound unbelievable at first, but there's more truth to it than you'd expect.